Hey, what's up, everyone? My name is Trent. This is Rams Talk. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing and for liking and for commenting. All good stuff. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. You can also reach me on Twitter at Real LA Rams Talk. A couple shout outs before I get into it. My boy LT at Combat Sports Talk. If you're not following this guy on YouTube, you should do so. He's covering Lakers, Dodgers, and of course the Rams. So head on over there. Also, shout out to my buddy Chris Jones. I used to live with him. He's from LA, but back then we didn't have a team, and he really wasn't LA before the move with the Rams back in the 90s. Wasn't really St. Louis. Kind of like Jaguars guy, if I could say anything, because he's just rooting for the underdog. But then he married a girl from Seattle and kind of adopted the Seahawks. So I just want to let you know, Chris Jones, you can come back. You can come home to the Rams. I don't think she'll mind. I think she would actually get it, and she would respect you. So Chris, you should do it. I mean, for all the people out there from LA that in the last 20 years, 22 years or so, that kind of grew up without a team, you know, consider me a missionary spreading the Rams gospel to you. So for all you non-believers out there, it's finally to come home, time to come home and believe in the Rams. So now that's out of the way, let's talk about the Rams game this weekend against the Seattle Seahawks in Seattle. So I never want to take any team lightly, especially a team like the Seahawks, who in recent memory have been a very good team, solid team. But I'm just going to say it, they're not a good team. They're 2-2, but they're not good. And they just lost some key players. So going into this game, I think the Rams are the Rams. They're the number one team in so many ways, the most complete team in all of NFL. They manhandled Seattle last year in the last head-to-head in Seattle. Plus, Seattle lost Earl Thomas. They lost Mychal Kendricks, who's replacing KJ Wright, who's still not back yet. They lost Will Dissly after they lost Jimmy Graham in the offseason, after they lost Richard Sherman and Michael Bennett in the offseason, Cam Chancellor as well. So, like, this Seahawks team is not the Seahawks team. It's not the Legion of Boom at all. I mean, it's not even a Legion. It's just a bunch of guys wearing ugly colors, playing in rainy Seattle. So I think, before I get into everything here, I mean, I just mentioned the injuries for Seattle. A couple of guys that are coming back that didn't play last week: running back Chris Carson, defensive end Dion Jordan, who was the third overall pick a couple of years ago by the Dolphins. He's coming back. He hasn't really had much of an impact, though, in his NFL career. And Doug Baldwin, he played last week, but he was kind of limited coming off an injury, kind of like Marcus Peters was last week, not fully 100%. So that'll actually be an interesting matchup, Doug Baldwin versus Marcus Peters, and if in fact those two do match up. For the Rams, Mark Barron looks like he's on track to return this weekend. That's great news. Dominique Easley, unfortunately, is out for the remainder of the year with knee injury. Greg Zuerlein will not play this week. That's why they signed Egypt's finest Cairo Santos. Now, Cairo Santos, the reason why he has been on the market is not so much because he's hasn't performed well, but he also had a groin injury, like a re-aggravated groin injury throughout the last couple of years, which is why he hasn't played. So hopefully he's not a powerful kicker, but he's very accurate, and hopefully the Rams don't even need him. Hell, they were running 2-point conversions a couple games ago without a care in the world. So I think Jojo Natson, also questionable. He might be able to return this weekend. So that being said, I think where this game what it really comes down to is the Rams imposing their will on kind of a depleted Seattle defense. Now, their defense ranks 5th in passing, and that's with Earl Thomas being there, Mychal Kendricks being there. Those two are out now, so they're having Tedrick Thompson move over to safety. They're actually having a fill-in. His name is Austin Calitro at linebacker, and even Shaquem Griffin might actually get a little start there. He's the player who was drafted with missing part of a hand. His brother is the starting cornerback, so you can see those two guys. But their run defense has been quite atrocious. It's rated 27th in all of football. So I expect the Rams to really just impose their will in the trenches and have Todd Gurley cram it down their throat. I wouldn't be surprised if Todd Gurley topped 100 yards. I mean, wouldn't be surprised in any game if they did, but in this game especially, I think they can do it. In terms of passing defense for the Seahawks, they're ranked number 5th overall, but like I said, they're missing key guys, especially Earl Thomas in the secondary. Quick Earl Thomas note, I don't know if you guys remember, in the game that the Rams lost to the Seahawks last year in the Coliseum, a lot of people want to talk or point to Cooper Kupp not holding on to that pass in the end zone. That was a very tough pass to catch, and I really don't put the blame on that. I really think where the game kind of turned around, I mean, the Rams were rolling early, and Todd Gurley was running down the left side, and he was diving for the pylon, and he lost the ball, and it ended up going out of the end zone, and instead of a Rams touchdown, which it was originally scored as a touchdown, it became Seattle's ball on the 20. And the reason why he lost it and fumbled it out of the end zone was because Earl Thomas jumped in there and hit the ball out of there. I mean, that is what Earl Thomas does. He makes plays. He doesn't just do the like bare minimum that a safety does, but his instincts are off the charts, and he's everywhere, and they're missing that. In addition to why their pass defense has been rated so high is that they've gone against Josh Rosen, Dak Prescott with 0 passing attack in Dallas, Mitch Trubisky before 6 TD game, and Case Keenum in Denver. So they haven't gone against Phillip Rivers. They haven't gone against Kirk Cousins or Derek Carr like the Rams have. And the Rams passing defense is ranked 15th. So, apples and oranges there, but still, I think the Seahawks secondary is going to slide in this game. In terms of offense, Seattle's offense is ranked an astounding 28th in all of football. The Rams is first. The passing attack for Seattle is 29th. The Rams is second. And the rushing attack is 17th. So it's actually the best thing they have going for them on offense. Now, their offensive line is porous. I don't think that's a surprise, but they get a healthy player back this week on the offensive line. And Pete Carroll even said that the offensive line is really starting to figure out who they are as a unit, and who they are as a unit is a run blocking team. So these are the rushes per week that they've had since week 1. It's been 16, 22, 39, and 34. And they've gone for 64, 74, 113 and 171 yards per game. And it doesn't matter who's back there, Chris Carson, Mike Davis, Rashad Penny. Even though Chris Carson will be back and I think he'll be inserted into the starting lineup, it feels like they're really shifting into a ground attack. And the last 2 games, they've averaged almost 36 carries as a team. So I really looked for the Seahawks to really try and pound the ball, because they're, let's just face it, against against a pass rush of what the Rams have. I mean, Russell Wilson's going to be scrambling for his life, and Aaron Donald has traditionally had success against Seattle. So I really feel like this is kind of like the same script that the Rams always come up against. They go against a porous offensive line, which makes the offense dump it off and run the ball, or try to run the ball to just get the ball out and to try and make a play. So that's really where I feel like that comes down to. And Seattle traditionally is a slow starting team in the season. That's been the case this year. Russell Wilson usually has his best months in November and December, and so we're also catching a team that looks very different, but also kind of like in that same cycle of beginning of the year blues. So notice I haven't mentioned Jared Goff for the receivers, because I feel like that's self-explanatory to everyone. You all know what's going to happen in that regard. So I don't look for this game to be close. I feel like the Rams run away with this. I usually don't say that. But Seattle fans, if you're watching this, just know the Rams are there to help you. They're there to help you get a top draft pick next year. So just take the loss, take the next loss when you play the Rams, and be thankful. Okay? Well, anyways, that's it for this game preview, Rams versus Seahawks. Please subscribe if you haven't. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you'd like to have me talk about in the next episode. But until then, go Rams.